MMA back with another video. Today I'm going to be building a Jones Aspinall main card. 94% of the people who click on my videos are not subscribed, so please subscribe right now, like the video, comment down below what fights you'd add, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't care. Alright, moving on. Opening up the main card. This is my rationale behind this card. It's not going to be super stacked because this fight sells on its own, obviously. It's probably the most highly anticipated fight you can make in the entire UFC right now. The GOAT of the UFC, not my GOAT, but most people's GOAT of the UFC versus like literally an unstoppable heavyweight. Only loss in the UFC is via injury to Blades. This is a crazy fight. So I built the fight with like guys I could see them trying to build off of being on a Jon Jones card towards the casual audience, guys that they always want to build up. So first fight of the card, Peyton Talbot comeback. I think this Jones Aspinall will take place in July. I think Dana White said that. And I think Peyton Talbot, they're going to try and build him back up. I don't think they're done with him, like, oh, he's never going to be a star, blah, blah, blah. He's still super talented. He kind of got ragdolled in his last fight. We all saw it. Very disappointing performance. I think they're going to match him up with just kind of an easy matchup. Like, they're going to give him Adrian Yanez, who's kind of... There was a point when I thought Adrian Yanez was going to be like a top 5 bantamweight, but now he's kind of just like lost his chin, kind of on a skid. They're going to try and give Peyton Talbot like a first round knockout win, and then all the casuals are going to be like, oh, who's this guy? He's not like every typical UFC fighter. I'm going to follow him on Instagram and keep up with him. That's like their rationale behind building this card. I think Peyton Talbot will for sure be on this card. I built this card kind of shitty too, I'll be honest. It's not the greatest card in the world because of the magnitude behind this fight. But if I had to predict this fight, I would say Peyton Talbot wins by first round KO. I think Yanez's chin is just gone. I think he's lost his confidence is such a big thing in combat sports. I think he's lost his confidence, and I think Peyton Talbot's going to train his grappling, train his wrestling, which Yanez isn't like a super insane grappling threat, but I think Peyton Talbot's going to get a comeback win here. He's going to knock out Adrian Yanez. Next fight on the card, I'm going the guy that was supposed to beat Jon Jones and then the guy that did beat Jon Jones. I'm going Johnny Walker versus Dominic Reyes. Look, the thing about this card is I think they want entertainment also. They're not trying to put like the biggest names, but they don't want it to just be like a boring, because they know a lot of casuals are going to be watching this card. So they don't want to put like boring fights, even though the co-main event, in my opinion, would be kind of a boring fight, but I can just so see them booking that. I have Johnny Walker versus Dom Reyes on this card. I think this would make the press conference really interesting as well. You have Dominic Reyes, who's still holding on to his one career milestone of almost beating Jon Jones, but really beating Jon Jones. So I think it would make the press conference interesting, build up a little bit of fight week, like drama, even though Jones now is like so much bigger and would just ragdoll him, but you know what I'm saying, it would add a little something to the fight week. And I think Johnny Walker versus Dominic Reyes, it makes sense in the rankings. Reyes coming off a win against Anthony Smith, Johnny Walker coming off a loss to Volkan Oezdemir. Can't even say his name seriously anymore. Johnny Walker in the war. Yeah, you know what I'm saying though. If I had to pick in this fight, honestly, this is unpopular opinion, I think it would go to decision, and I think it would be like a split decision. One of them just like barely gains the nod. I think it would be entertaining, don't get me wrong. I think we definitely see at least one knockdown, but I don't think it would be as, like, Johnny Walker always throws random shit, which would be entertaining to casual fans, Sometimes it gets old, though, when he just continues to lose, even though he's one of the most athletic fighters in the entire UFC, standing at 6'4", but it's okay. Conversation for a different video. But yeah, I think it would go to a split decision, honestly. Then next, kind of similar, I kind of built this similarly a little bit to the MSG card, but with Jones Stipe, but I think it's much better. I'm putting Bo Nickel versus Brendan Allen. I don't think Brendan Allen deserves to fight up in the rankings, even though Nickel's unranked. I think he deserves to fight down. Kind of got dogged in his last fight by Amavov. I'm just looking, or Anthony Hernandez, and then also Amavov. He's on a 2-fight skid. I want to see Bo Nickel fight some real competition. Don't give him like another can to crush and put him on the featured fight. If we're going to put Bo Nickel featured fight, which I know the UFC will do, give him a solid ranked opponent. And Brendan Allen's a good grappler too. Like, we've seen this guy, his rear naked choke is really crazy. He's submitting people left and right. He was when he was on his streak. I would really like to see this fight. It's a top 10 opponent for Bo Nickel. Let's see if he's a fraud. Let's see how he is. And if Brendan Allen beats him, this is really big win for him. He honestly, if he beats him after, if this is my rationale, if you give up your spot and you're like, okay, I'll fight an unranked opponent, I don't care. You deserve to fight up in the rankings at your next fight, especially if it's a guy who's as dangerous as like a Bo Nickel or, you know. I think you do deserve to fight up. And honestly, if I had to pick gun to my head, I know the odds makers would make it like minus 1,500 Bo Nickel for some reason. I think I would go with Brendan Allen. I think Bo Nickel, obviously highly touted collegiate wrestler, crazy at Penn State. His MMA wrestling doesn't look that crazy. And like he outstruck Paul Craig at MS. And why does this guy never fight too, bro? Who gave you the jurisdiction to be this inactive? But he had a good performance striking against Paul Craig, but like it's Paul Craig and he wasn't like dominating the striking. I mean, he won every round in my opinion, or 29-28, I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But like it wasn't dominant. It was like he was getting the better of exchanges slightly, and it was honestly it was a very boring fight. I was at the MSG card and everyone chanting overrated. Only in New York, bro, only in New York. But yeah, it was I don't know, if I had to pick someone, I think I'd pick Brendan Allen just because he's the first like actually good, well-rounded guy that Bo Nickel's ever gonna have fought. So I would go with Brendan Allen. Next, the co-main event, I tried to put a little bit of star power to appeal to the casual fans, so on the poster they don't have to just put Jones Aspinall. They can say, oh, this guy and this guy are also fighting, you should buy for $79 or whatever it is right now. I got Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker. Do I think either of them deserve this fight? No, Robert Whittaker does not deserve to fight up in the rankings right now. Sean Strickland does not deserve to, like, these guys need to fight. I'm turning middleweight into lightweight with this fight where the guys at the top just fight each other. Lightweight's less like that now, but you know, lightweight 3 years ago when it was just Chandler, Poirier, Gaethje, Charles just rotating, and Dan Hooker was kind of in the mix there too. But I'm kind of, with this fight, I'm kind of making that happen, but I think this just is such a like they would book this as a 5-round co-main event and market it as if whoever wins this fight is next for Chimaev, when it's only if Sean Strickland wins this fight, he's next for Chimaev, because they would want to because they think Strickland's marketable, even though everyone's kind of done with his shtick, you know? Like, I think that's kind of what would happen with this fight. I think they would make it a 5-round co-main event, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, two guys who have been at the top at middleweight for a while, like, if I had to pick someone in this fight, I would pick Sean Strickland just because he's looked better recently. Even though in the Dricus fight he looked pretty bad, Sean Strickland really shut down Paulo Costa. Robert Whittaker obviously won that fight 29-28, but he did get stung. I think Sean Strickland's awkward style and like his pressure would be a little bit too much for Robert Whittaker. Do I think Robert Whittaker would have moments with his 1-2 head kick? Yeah, I could see him like not rocking Sean Strickland, but like making him step back a little bit because he lands that combo really well. But if I had to pick in 5-round co-main event, I'd go with Sean Strickland by decision, of course. And it would be super boring too. It would, like, hopefully casual fans will wake up to the fact that Sean Strickland's going to say, oh, we're going to go to war, and then win a 50-45 decision, you know? Next, the main event, John Bones Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Who do I have here? Okay, look, do I think people are ruling John Jones out too much? Yes, I do. But by the same token, Tom Aspinall, easily the toughest opponent the guy's ever fought. These are the reasons why, though. It's not just because he's on a tear at heavyweight. There's been a lot of guys who are on a tear at light heavyweight who Jones just dismantled. Jones is not at his natural weight class, 1. Tom Aspinall, same height or taller than John Jones, which Jones has been known to struggle with guys like that. Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos. We've seen Jones struggle with guys who are tall. Tom Aspinall, crazy power, knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, knocked out Curtis Blades. Like, also, he's good on the ground. It's not like he's just going to get wrestled to oblivion, which is what some people thought would happen to Ngannou. He's well-rounded. He submits people. The only thing that is sketchy about Aspinall is I do think this fight would go out of the first round. And we've never seen Aspinall's cardio. Like, we could easily see, okay, Aspinall dominates the first round in half of the second. We could see like a Merab Umar performance from John Jones, bro, at heavyweight. Like, if he Merabs Tom Aspinall at heavyweight, bro, like, he's the GOAT. I'm sorry. Like, he's not the GOAT for me right now because of steroids, but I'm willing to look past that, bro. Respectfully. If you Merab Tom Aspinall at heavyweight at 240 pounds, whatever, like that would be crazy. Also, the thing about Jones is he was a big 205er. He was bigger than a lot of the guys he fought, but this is the first guy he's fighting who's a real heavyweight. Gon and Miocic weighed similar. They weighed like 240, I think they weighed in at, which was the same as Jones. Aspinall is like a full 260, which is like big difference, 20-pound difference. It's harder to take a guy like that down, you know? So if I had to pick, I would go Aspinall by finish in round 2. That's going to be my official prediction. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe. Only 4% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.